Are you good to go, sir?
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Ken Fisher. I'm your Alpine District Commissioner, and I'd like to welcome to the Alpine District October Roundtable. Thanks for joining tonight. We've got two exciting sessions for you to choose from, Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA. I'd like to have us all start by rising and sharing the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. All right. So a few announcements here, and I'll pass the ball around if other people have different things they want to share. So I've mentioned I just try and keep this one up to date. So the Chief Saddle Council Service Center and the Scout shops are open. Somewhat limited hours, and for the Service Center, do recommend calling ahead for an appointment. Hours for the Scout shop, open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And obviously you can reach the number there. So anytime you're going to go down to either the Service Center or Scout shop, do recommend a call in advance. Make sure that you know when they're going to be there, and the person you want to talk to or see is available. All right, meeting agenda for this evening, general announcements. And I mentioned earlier, 2 great sessions to choose from. The Cub Scout session will be Wendy McBride and Kat Ressler will be talking about welcoming new families and drive-through events. They have a special guest, Sean Christensen, Cub Master of Pack 425, going to talk about the parking lot pack meeting. It was held just last Friday night. On the Scouts BSA session, we've got a couple of groups going to talk about courts of honor that have been held virtually over the last few months. One from Joint Troops 498 and 898, Crystal Holmes and Carol Cordray. And I'll be talking later about the courts of honor we've run from Troops 571 and 5749. All right, a few other announcements here. So this is for everybody. Volunteer service hours. So particularly if you work for one of these organizations listed there, a lot of some major employers in the area. There's many these companies match or provide for volunteer service hours, will provide cash value or a payment to the Chief Seattle Council for your service hours for every 50 hours. For most of them, I think it's $10 per hour. Microsoft, I think it's $25 an hour, and believe me, it adds up quickly. That's just for hours you're volunteering for scouting, whether it's a camp out, a hike, running a meeting, going to Roundtable, doing planning meetings, committee meetings, that sort of thing. All those count towards volunteer service hours towards youth. It's a great way to help the Chief Seattle Council well financially without you actually having to write a check. It's things you're already doing. So encourage you to do that. If you go to the Chief Seattle Council website and you go under Give, under there you send our employer matching and volunteer service hours. Just input your company name here and it'll check. It'll tell you, do they match your donation for Friends of Scouting, or if some will also match your volunteer hours. So take a look out there. It's a really easy way to go help out Scouts and the Chief Seattle Council. All right, I threw this one up each meeting, but I just want to make people sure if you're aware as we get ready for recharter. There's a slightly revised fee structure. It didn't change a lot, but a few things. It became effective August 1st, just over 2 months ago. New Scouts joining fee of $25. That's just somebody that's brand new to scouting. That does not, it's not required if you're just transferring from a pack to a troop or something like that. The annual membership fee is went up $6 for a year. Leaders about the same, and then the charter organization per group is there's an annual charter fee. The Chief Saddle Council insurance fee remains at $12 per year, and that's prorated. One other tidbit here, for someone that's new, if they're joining online through BS Scout, BSA national dues, Boys Life subscriptions, and council insurance fees are collected at the time of application with a credit card. So someone is doing an online application, which I do recommend, those are actually collected then. So then the pack or troop should just collect their own unit dues, not, that's again only for new members. All right, Carol, you know, talk about maybe a little announcement for program and training conference.
Sure. On October 17th, so that's a week from this Saturday, we will be having a virtual program and training conference, which is basically like a Scout version of college. You'll sort of go there and there'll be classes that you can take, virtual trainings. You'll be able to check out some of the cool vendors that we have. And you can sign up online. We've got a link there on the page. And it's going to be a lot of fun this year. It's all virtual, and we've got people coming from as far away as New Jersey to be here for this. So it's kind of cool because we're getting people from all over. So
great opportunity to get some training in, especially a lot of these classes that are being offered at the PTC. This is the only time a year that these are offered. Some of them are fairly unique, whether it's for Scout book training or other unique things for travel or local hikes, things that you wouldn't normally be able to find. It's only to offered this one time a year at the PTC. Thanks, Carol. Great event. I'd like to give a little bit of time to our district executive, Chris McNeil. Chris, I'm going to give you the baton here and let you have some slides to share on recharter.
I do. All right. Once you click stop sharing, I should be able to share.
All right.
Okay.
Pass the baton back.
All right. Here we go. All right. Everyone see the slide? Rechartering your unit for 2021?
I see a black screen with a white line in the middle of it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Let me try that again, see what's going on. Okay.
We can see your PowerPoint right now.
Nice.
Okay. I tried to switch monitors, so now I'm going to be looking over here, so away from my camera. Anyways, it's recharter time. Very exciting. I know. Good news is that it's all online. It's very similar to last year. This last year was pretty simple, pretty easygoing. If you've done recharter before, you'll be a breeze at it this year. If you haven't, I'm just going to kind of hit a few important concepts, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any confusion. Earlier on Monday, all the key 3 members, so unit leaders, committee chairs, and charter org rep should have been emailed their instructions and access code. So we're just going to go through a few things on here. So first off, charter renewals due November 12th. So that's next roundtable. Ideally, we want to get it done, have them done next roundtable. That way it gives us a little bit of time to fix anything that might need fixing. It's really important that we get charters done, completed, and submitted before the end of the year. And it takes us a little bit of time to be able to process everyone's charters. So please try to make that due date in 4 weeks, 5 weeks from now. That would be really helpful. So again, access codes were emailed to your unit key 3. You can also ask me for it. I have the listing as well if you lose it for whatever. The link to your internet recharter it's all at the bottom of seattlebsa.org, or you could visit there on your my.scouting account. And the first time you do recharter this year, make sure you click first time user. Just because you did it last year, this means first time user for this year. And then you create your you log in, and then you when you log back in the future, then you're no longer a first time user later this year. So with that, the fees, we already kind of covered that. So fees for 2021 recharter youth members, so that includes the national registration and the council insurance is going to be $78. If you choose to do Boys Life subscription, that'll be an additional $12. Adult volunteers, that's a total of $54 a year. And then there is the charter renewal fee of $75. Now, when you get to the payment section, this is one of those really important things I want everyone to remember. Don't pay online. Do not pay online. You want to select pay direct to council because we have your escrow accounts. And what that does is that it allows us to have control of your charter. So if there are adults with multiple positions in different units, we're going to be able to identify those so you don't overpay for it. If you just have it pay national automatically, then it's not necessarily going to be able to identify those, and you're going to be paying twice for the same person. It also allows us to make changes. Once you submit it and you pay online, we can't make changes to your charter. So again, another good reason to not pay online, to select pay direct to council. It also allows us to post your charter. Again, it's just us having control over it instead. National, they post those charters at the end of the year, but sometimes the whole national recharter process doesn't actually finish until the springtime. So if you overpay and you pay directly to national office, it's going to be a while before you get any money back. So I know I say it every year, but it's really important. Pay direct to council. Please don't pay online. The option will be there to pay online. Don't do it. Okay. Background check authorizations. This is a new screen. Or I should say it's not a new screen, but there's a new column here, which is the criminal background check authorization on file column. You can just ignore that. We have authorizations on every adult leader currently in our council, and then all new applications come with that. They put this in after we started collecting them, so some of them are going to say, no, we don't, but we do. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to hold up recharter. Just ignore that. This is just saying who you need to have for to recharter your unit. So for PACs, you need to have a cub master, your chartered org rep. You need to have a committee chair, 2 committee members, and 1 den leader. That's the absolute minimum number. For troops and crews, and we don't have any ships. All you need is essentially the same stuff except without the den leader. So committee chair, 2 committee members, and a unit leader, and the chartered org rep. And the chartered org rep may multiple as either a committee chair or a committee member. So you need really 4 people if you're in a troop or crew, or 5 adults if you are a PAC at a minimum. That's adults. So what that means is if someone hasn't completed their youth protection training this year yet, we could potentially still get your charter through and add them on later. If you have a committee member, if they're not in one of those important positions, we can still do your charter. Sorry, I scrolled through there. Anyways, moving on. So youth protection training, all adult volunteers, just as a reminder, must have youth protection training current within 1 year. So this is a great time to do youth protection training if you haven't done it yet this year. So please remind all your leaders to do that. And then there's also position specific training for direct contact leaders. So all direct contact leaders, and you can see the positions labeled there, they should have done their position specific training. However, this is not going to hold up recharter. Youth protection will hold up recharter. All right. And then the last screen, there's the approval by charter and organization. So this is, you don't have to print anything off and have people sign it. You just have to talk to your executive officer, charter org rep, and select that that they agree with this. So you just check that they are approving this charter, and then you click submit, and your charter, it'll bring you to the payment screen, and you select pay council direct, and you'll be done. And then inside of your instructions that were sent out on Monday, you should have gotten your annual charter agreement and your Journey to Excellence sheet. And those both can be submitted to me. I have my email address right here. I'll leave that up for just a little bit. So if you don't have my email address, you can send that in. Tammy, you want to send that to Bradley, though. I don't want your recharter information. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions? Just speak up because I can't see many of you right now. Great. So if you do have any questions or something comes up, please, again, just feel free to email me and we'll get you sorted. Should be a pretty simple process this year. And I can, help you just go through the process. It's done it a lot of times at this point. So thank you. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Thanks, Chris. Great. Any other announcements tonight? Go ahead and just pop up as needed. Anybody? Eric, Todd, anyone else around the call? All
No
right.
announcements.
Go ahead.
Yeah, nothing from me. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Todd.
As we go into the breakout sessions, we are going to, some of you have been pre-assigned because I know exactly where you're supposed to be, or I've asked you. You should be prompted for what breakout session you want to join if you are not already pre-assigned. If you do not get that prompt, you basically be talking to me anyways to figure this out. So that's where we're going to next, is the breakout sessions. I'm going to give everyone basically an hour to be in their breakout sessions. If they end early, what have you, so be it. We will not be coming back as a group, so you can leave your meeting, leave Roundtable following the conclusion of your breakout session. So
great. Thanks, Eric.
Otherwise, I'm going to start it, and let me know if anybody has questions. And Ken has one more thing.
One final one. You can see up on the screen now. Our next roundtable meeting will be, as usual, the second Thursday, 7 o'clock. Again, this will be virtual, November 12th. So just have that on your calendar. Look forward to everybody seeing you guys in another month. So that's all I had. Eric?
All right, so we're going to initiate, and there's definitely going to be a number of you needing to figure out which one you want to be in. So here we go. Chris, where would you like to go?
Sorry, I just saw an email in the chat that I was hoping someone might actually have an answer from the training committee about ILOS not being required for the renewal. What about new ASMs or Scoutmasters? You can put me in the Cub Scout breakout, I suppose, but
Okay.
unless someone knew. the
Yeah,
answer to that.
we'll hopefully that answer can get put in the chat as well. Feel free to put it in there if you want.
Yeah, it's in the everyone chat. So
All right. And then Gary, where would you like to be?
Scouts BSA, please.
Okay. Thomas, where would you like to be?
Also Scouts BSA, please.
Okay. Carla.
Scouts BSA.
Okay. Alexander.
Scouts BSA.
Thank you. Scoutmaster Troop. That's
That's
pretty
Scouts
obvious.
BSA.
Yep. David Batter.
Cub Scouts.
Cub Scouts. All right. The Blue family.
Cub Scouts, please.
Okay. And then Rob, you're going to Scouts BSA.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going. Looks like you have 2 users going on there, Rob. You still with me?
I had to go to it this weekend myself.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, we're to Rob Watton. Wow, yeah, that is special. Hey, Rob, good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, man, I recognize that trail. You used that same photo background for some certificate or something.
It's the old Blewett Pass.
Nice,
Oh.
very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like Eastern
If you wanna
Washington in
go
terms
for
of
a-
tree size.
Yeah, so if you want to go on a nice little family day hike, it's right off of the new Blewett Pass, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Very cool. Well, all right, so we've got two, basically the topic tonight is virtual courts of honor. And I know some troops have gave it a try. So we've got a couple different variations of that. So let Krista go first because she put a lot more effort into her slides than I did. But I've got maybe a few things to share as well. So Krista, why don't you talk about what troops 498 and 8498? I know Carol's on
share my
call as well.
screen?
You may. In fact, I would
All
encourage it.
Okay. All right.
Or you can just keep talking.
That's fine. I'll talk. So I'm just going to kind of go over some tips just from what we learned from our first one, things that I think would be helpful for you to plan a virtual court of honor. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm going to talk about activities leading up to the event, how to actually plan your presentation, and Carol, step in anytime if you want to add. How to recognize scouts, make them feel special in a virtual court of honor, and then just some Zoom tech tips that I've learned along the way that might help you. So activities to do leading up to your event. 3 to 2 weeks before Court of Honor, you should schedule a rank and merit badge catch-up night. This isn't a time for them to come and start a new merit badge. We did run into that a little bit, but this is really an opportunity for scouts to come and finish those things that have 1 or 2 requirements left. We scheduled 2 weeks in a row, just it was at the beginning of September when school, a lot of school activities were happening. So we did 2 back-to-back before our Court of Honor. And then 2 weeks before your Court of Honor, you should have a cutoff date. You want a very specific cutoff date and hold to that, because in this environment, you need a little bit more time to gather that information, the ranks and the merit badges, and then have a chance to pass them out. So 2 weeks before the Court of Honor, I recommend that you have that cutoff date, and then you print your report from wherever you manage your advancement and send it to the parents and the scouts and say, this is what we have in this virtual environment. We can't see their books. We can't see their blue cards. They can take pictures and send them to us, but things can get lost, or we just don't know about it. And so, this is something we did, and I think we should do it all the time, even when we're meeting in person. But maybe you're all way ahead of the ball on that than we are, but we did that this time and it worked really well. We found a few people that were missing, and it's really important to get them their awards. We don't want to miss anyone, right? So, and then the week before the Court of Honor, we did a drive-by pickup. So we got all of their awards together, all of their merit badges together, and we delivered them all at one location. So, okay.
Really quick, sorry to interrupt you, Chrissy.
No worries.
Ken or Carol, I gave one of you both recording permissions. Can you start recording on your end? I'm going to jump over to Cubs and do the same thing. I can only record one or the other.
Yep, I got it.
Cool. So I'm going to leave and let Ken take the recording so we don't miss this. So,
All righty.
thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
I'll go back to this slide so you can start recording. Okay.
All right. Are you recording, Ken? You're good? Thank you.
So these are just some ways that we helped navigate through the rank merit badge catch-up. We made sure that when we created our event that scouts specified it. Is
that it? For the Alpine. I am between books. I'm Audible listening to, full disclosure, I'm reading through the Bible for the second time in a row,
Cool.
cover to cover. So I'm doing the Audible, well, I'm listening to that on my phone and my app. And then I am also, because I'm between other hardcover books, I am just started binge watching The West Wing. I actually never watched it.
I've heard it's good. I haven't seen it myself.
It is. Well, if you want a shorter version, watch The Newsroom. Aaron Sorkin is an amazing writer.
All right, good recommendation. Thank you. Quentin or Ryan, if you feel comfortable sharing, we'd love to hear from you guys. If you don't, that's also. Oh, perfect.
My name is Ryan. I am the treasurer for PAC 638, and I have very little experience with this. I've never done it before. I'm currently reading, or one of the books that I'm reading right now is called Parasite Rex. It's not my typical reading kind of fare, but it's a nonfiction book about the history and lots of other interesting things about parasites in our world. For fall food, I love Thanksgiving, and I'm happy to say that I had one of my favorites for dinner today. We had turkey and stuffing.
Yum.
Yeah, and hi, I'm Quentin Bracken. I'm the committee chair for PAC 638. I just finished reading, I guess you call it reading, Aliens, the set photography about the movie. And my favorite fall is anything pumpkin flavored.
Awesome. You guys are
All right.
kind of making me hungry.
I guess I get to finish up then. I'm Wendy McBride. I'm a co-Roundtable commissioner for the Cub Scout side. I've been involved in Roundtable for 13 years now. And I just finished the book Art Lab for Kids. Favorite fall foods? I'm going to join the Soup Sisters group and say soups and stews.
Awesome. And have I missed anyone? Okay, great. I'm going to fly through some announcements. Chris already talked to you guys about your recharge packets. Please do those and turn them in. It's pretty much the only way to keep scouting going. Friends of Scouting should be coming up soon-ish. Make sure that you're aware of it. If you're not aware of it, that's okay. We will go into it more in depth when that actually goes out. The program and training conference, Springwood Badge. There's also Jamboree on the air, Jamboree on the internet. All Scouts can participate in that, even Cub Scouts. There are Cub camping opportunities through Shepherd. And we are still looking for speakers or special topics from you guys that we can focus on so that we can make sure that we're kind of catering our roundtable to you. I am going to...
Oh, Kat, can I break in for just a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the Webelos requirements, I think it's for Build a Better World, or one of the things they can do is participate in Jamboree on the internet.
That's true. Sean, I apologize about this picture, but
what was I doing?
This was, so Sean has been through Wood Badge, and this is a picture I took way from the back. He was doing a presentation on what he had learned the 5 days previous, and it was quite animated and wonderful. I think that's your Jeopardy game behind you.
Yes, that was the Jeopardy game that we came up with.
So I'll stop. Do you need to share your screen or?
Yes, I do. So
okay.
Let me do share screen. Which one am I going to share? I will share this one. Sure. I got three screens here, so I'm just getting sorted.
Wonderful.
All right. Everybody see that?
Yep.
So first off, thanks everybody for being listening. Kat and team asked me to share just some experiences on our recent PAC meeting. COVID is really, COVID's kind of sucked to be brutal about it. And in all, so I titled this one Confessions of a Struggling Cub Master. And not only just from trying to make something a little bit more realistic and human. And this one's the parking lot PAC meeting. And what I want to share about is kind of how we as a PAC here in Fall City got ourselves rolling for the start of this year. And so I'll kind of get into this. First, a little bit about me. I do a little bit of who am I by the numbers. I work in IT. I've been doing that for 30 years between studies and career. I've been married for 23 years. I'm currently at Microsoft. I've worked there for 14 years in various groups. I have lived overseas for 12 years. We just celebrated this past weekend our 10th year living back here in the United States. So I lived overseas, actually in Australia for 12 years. All of my kids were born there. We all have dual citizenship. I've been involved since coming back. Really, once we came back, we jumped straight into scouting and have been involved in ever since. I didn't stay long as just a parent. Well, personally, I was also involved as a scout for about 9 years, either as a Cub Scout, Weeblo, and then in what we call it Boy Scouts or Scouts BSA. I am not an Eagle Scout. I missed my Eagle by 5 merit badges because I moved from New York to California. I went from a troop, that was 4 patrols, 6 kids per patrol, and I was SPL, to a troop with 4 scouts.
Ooh, wow.
And it kind of, I also was an elite sports athlete in swimming and water polo at the time, and that took up more of my time as I got old. I was here in PAC 425. I was a den leader for about 4 years, and then was asked to take over, and I've been Cub Master now of PAC 425 for the past 4 years. I have 3 sons who are 15, 12. Oh shoot, that should say 11. Glad he's not here. He'll be upset with me. And you can see photos of them right there on the right. And I have 1 daughter who graduated from Outside High School this past year and is currently attending, albeit remotely, Occidental College as a freshman studying diplomacy and world affairs. So I share this not to tout myself, but just kind of give, I mean, we don't get a chance to see who each other is within the scouting world. And this is just a little bit of me and who I am. So we started this year off, and I want to paint a little bit of a picture. When we brought the leaders together to paint the picture for everybody, and you probably have a similar story. Really, February 2020, we started canceling PAC meetings. And it kept rolling because, I mean, we're all sent home from, so the last time that our PAC had actually met was January 2020, and we did our Pinewood Derby. Pinewood Derby was great. It was good to get everybody together, but from that point on, nothing was happening. We couldn't meet. Schools were actually, where we met was in a school. They physically kicked us out and said, we're closing it down. Everyone's going remote. Sorry, you can no longer attend here. And we needed to socially distance. Everybody was locking down. I'm guessing everybody has a very similar story. We started, even as a leadership team, meeting, talking, looking at what was possible. How could we plan, not just for, I mean, for the rest of the year, but then the following years, for summer. We were all hoping to still be able to go to camp. Again, I've been involved in scouting. This was going to be my last year at Camp Edward. This is my last year in Cub Scouting because my son Caleb is crossing over in February to Scouts BSA. So it was really a, what do we try and resurrect? How do we plan for this? What are our options? What can we do? And we really, the hard part was we couldn't do anything until this past month. There were options, but the CDC regulations, locations to actually do something made it very difficult. But we came to a point where we needed to do something. Kids had missed our moving up ceremony. They'd missed their rank advancement. We needed to really figure out how to make this special. And so we plan out our PAC meetings for the entire year. So I actually am showing you here, this is our schedule. Our who has flag duty, what's the theme, what is the activity that we're going to do, who owns that activity, and is there any fundraising things that are wrapped around it. So we as a PAC have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do. We just need to figure out how to execute it. And so that was the easy part, was actually figuring out what we were going to do. We as a PAC also have established a couple of standard activities throughout the year. And so something, if you're looking at what do I do for PAC meetings? What do I do for ideas? I kind of taking a little bit extra liberties from the parking lot PAC meeting and sharing a little bit more with everybody in terms of how we've approached it. September is always our start of the year. And we kick things off. October is our holiday festival because of Halloween. And we also incorporate the Bears requirement for the Bear Games activity that they need to do as part of their rank advancement. November, we do is a little flexible. We do a bit of an abracadabra activity where den leaders and myself teach magic tricks to the kids. December, we take a month off. We actually rent an ice rink. And we've done this for the past two years, where we would rent Snow King Ice Arena down in Renton. Snoqualmie out here is just opening up a new ice rink, and we hope to be able to rent that and just have a night of ice skating. Kids love it. They're active, families love it, they enjoy it. We can even still do some social distancing with that. You just got to stay away from each other on the ice and wear a mask. January is always Pinewood Derby. February, we combined and made it our blue and gold, AOL, and crossing over. That night is all about the Weeblo 2s. March is either our Space Derby or our Rain Gutter Regatta. April is, we've established this the past couple of years, it's our Salute to Service night. 2 years ago, we started this. We invited the fire department, the sheriff's department, the Forest Service to come and do presentations to our scouts. And to give you an idea, we had King County Sheriff show up with one of their canines. We had King County SWAT team show up with its assault vehicle. That was a hit. We had Fall City Fire Department show up twice. but never stay longer than maybe 10 minutes because they always had to run to a call. We had the Forest Service with their fire truck show up. I mean, and we had other police units come in and join in. We even had the Sheriff's Department offer to land their helicopter on the field from the air support unit. And it's a highlight for a lot of the scouts because it gives them a picture of, hey, here's what, I mean, it demystifies a lot of the law enforcement and service and public service and safety groups. Plus it satisfies a couple of scout requirements. May is our moving up ceremony, and that's our year. And so we have a formula that we've established that if you're looking, if you want ideas in terms of how to plan for your PAC meetings, we start with our formula because then we don't have to struggle with, okay, what are we doing? We just have to figure out now, how do we execute this in the world of COVID? And can we execute this in the world of COVID? We also stepped back and took a look at advancement. And one of the things I shared with a lot of my leaders is we really tried to embody the Cub Scout motto of do your best. COVID puts limitations on what certain things that we can do. And we may not be able to complete everything exactly as it's supposed to be happening. But we really had to step back and go, Cub Scout motto is not about do it perfectly. For these kids, it's about doing their best. It was the best being able to get almost all the way there, but because of COVID, you couldn't do a few things. All right, did you do your best? Did you try? Did you get there? Yes, let's have some grace because we wanted to keep them engaged. We knew that COVID was going to impact, and in fact is impacting our re-enrollments for this year. So far, I think we're down at least 11 scouts. We had about 45 in the pack, so we're dropping quite significantly. And a lot of that is people don't want to be on Zoom calls. People want their kids to be active. And as I get into what we did for our parking lot pack meeting, it was very evident that parents were willing to be flexible and parents wanted something. Kids wanted something. Kids were, I'm not gonna say begging for it, but they were so needing and wanting that engagement, whatever it was. So we looked at some options. We looked at our moving up ceremonies. We wanted to, this first meeting, we wanted to make up for the previous, for some lost time. So we had a moving up ceremony. We had rank advancements to be able to give out. We looked at a couple of different options. We looked at, I mean, literally a drive-through. Like I would set up a table at the end of my driveway. I live on a cul-de-sac, and we would we looked at setting a schedule and having people drive through. We looked at doing ones for den only, whole pack. What was the availability between myself and some of the staff to be able to get materials, order awards and hats and scarves. One of the challenges we were seeing also is, the Grange in Issaquah no longer carries all the scout gear. So if you're going to order stuff, you could either order it and have it shipped to you and allow time there, or you got to be able to drive all the way into Seattle. Okay, I know it sounds weird, but hey, I live out in Falls City. Driving to Seattle is a 45-minute one-way drive for me. And for a number of my leaders, it goes up to an hour because of where they live just to get there. So it's a hike. One of the options we talked about was a drive-in. And as you can see there on the screen, it was the gray boxes are the cars lining up around my cul-de-sac. The scout would drive up, hop out, we're wearing masks, put the stuff on a table, take a photo, get back in the car, drive away. And that was one we seriously considered. If we couldn't get much beyond phase 2 or much beyond phase 1 and we weren't allowed to do anything, it's like, okay, we'll try this. We then looked at the idea of if we got into phase 2, could we have a smaller moving up ceremony with scouts one by one, tables in the middle, everybody standing around in a big, huge circle out in a field. And then we're logistically looking at, okay, can we find a place to meet? But also we were having to figure out how do we deal with the risk of people keeping their distance and not wanting to come together close. And even in then or do we do that option 3? We were hoping to do this back in August where we could do that with the whole pack. But again, have everybody, but keep socially distanced. And what we came down to is the hard part with this was being able to maintain that social distancing and, if needed, physical barrier for those people that wanted to be present but didn't want to interact, wanted to have a physical barrier between them and other people for one reason or another. What we ended up with is our parking lot pack meeting. Now, logistically, how this worked. This is the tent you see there is actually owned, and the field and the property and the parking lot is owned by Snoqualmie Valley Alliance Church in Fall City, near where I live. And I got in touch with them and asked them, could we, they already had the tent set up because they were holding some Sunday service activities to a small degree in that, using that space. They actually called it drive up communion. People would drive in, stay in their cars, staff would run around and hand out pre-sealed juice and bread, and they would have people underneath the tent in case it was raining. So they allowed us to take advantage of the facility, and the tables there, I set up tables. You can see the sound system there. I had a camera on it, or my phone on a tripod here. And what that was for was I established a Zoom call. So we set this up as a physical option, but we still had scouts who, either from distance or health risk, could not be there in person. And so we chose to make sure that, I had myself there. And so I stood right behind that tripod with a microphone. So everybody who was there and either staying in their car, or you can see there on the right-hand side, there was a truck with one of the families, and their kids sat in the back bed of the truck facing our presentation. Some people you can see up there chose to come right up. They still stayed about 10 feet away from me. They were wearing everybody had to wear a mask. That was one requirement. I was very clear. I was walking around with a thermometer gun, checking everybody's temperature when they showed up. All leaders were wearing surgical gloves and masks. And kids had stayed in chairs and had to maintain separation from each other. We had adults that were further back and separated. We also had scouts participating on the Zoom call. And I had one other parent, or one of my other leaders, there with his phone on the Zoom call, and he was the roving camera. So as a scout would come up, he was there kind of Zoom capturing them coming up, collecting their rank, collecting their, and what we did with this is we focused on family by family, because some of our families had multiple scouts in different levels. So if we called up the younger sibling of a scout, we gave them we did a couple things. One, we called each scout up once. Normally in our moving up and rank advancement ceremonies, we would call them up to get their awards. They'd come up, they get those, they go sit down. Then they'd come up for their ranks, because we'd have a bit of a ceremony for their ranks. And then they would go back, sit down, and then they would come up a third time as part of their moving up. So we took all that out and we said, you come up once, we will give you your awards. We will announce it to everybody. We present your rank with your parent if they wanted to come up with you. And then we also pre-purchased all of their hats, scarves, and slides for their new ranks or new levels. And so they came up, they received, and I'm standing there reading out what they got, set it down on the table. They could then come forward, pick it up, and I'm wearing gloves. And then they moved, slid over, and on the photo there on the left, you can see on the left-hand side is where they received their rank, and then they slid over 2 tables and picked up their hat, scarf, and slide. And my committee chair was standing there, and he had pre-placed them in a corner and then stood back. And so the scout was able to get their awards, their rank, go get their new hat, scarf, and slide, and then head off and go back and sit down. And if they were the younger sibling and they had an older sibling, then I read and brought up the older sibling. So one family unit came up once, both scouts took care of them, gave them their awards, gave them their ranks, gave them their new hat, scarf, and slide, and then they went and sat down and could watch the rest of the crew. And that logistically, I mean, I had to adjust on the fly a little bit, but it worked. And the kids enjoyed getting, I mean, they enjoyed getting their awards. They enjoyed getting their rank advancements. We even had a new scout join that night for his first time. And the nice part is I had an extra Weeblos hat, scarf, and slide. So brand new scout, never been involved before, couldn't give him, he wasn't getting any awards, but he got something. He walked away with a hat, scarf, and slide. And that was something that I actually take away from myself of, historically, we would ask parents to buy all of that. And now I'm working with my leaders to say, maybe for our future moving ups, we buy all of that and they can reimburse us, because it's something that we can then give again to the scout, and we can incorporate that. Most of the stuff that you see here, the tables, the sound system is owned by, our PAC owns that. The tables are actually mine, that I have, and the Zoom conference. I mean, you can set up your own Zoom. I don't know if you've done that. You could use Zoom, you could use Teams, you could use Google Hangouts. I have my own Zoom subscription. I could use Teams if I wanted to and bring people in there. It really doesn't matter what utility we used. The goal there was, and I had some scouts who were participating, receiving awards, and they were remote. And the nice part was they stood up, they were right there on the screen to me, and I stood and looked at them right on the screen as I'm looking to everybody here, and read out their awards. Just because they weren't physically there, they were still participating. And so that was something to make them feel connected. What this has made us really think about for the next time, and what we learned out of this process was, look, physically or virtually, the parents will decide how they want their kids to engage. We have a family whose the parents are immunocompromised, so they can't attend in person. Fine, they attended virtually. Their son was there. He received his awards. We got to now physically get them to him, but the parents will self-select. We as scout leaders have to lay down the ground rules and build the frame for them. And one of the things I was very clear with all the parents. I said, look, our requirements is we will adhere to all CDC regulations. That is the policy of Chief Seattle Council. We will follow it irrespective of personal feelings. Leaders will be wearing gloves. Leaders will be all masked. We expect all participants to be masked. And there's no discussion. That's the way it is. Or you can attend online. The other thing I learned is I had a chance afterwards, I got a chance to go talk to some of the parents and just ask them what they thought, because it was a different way of approaching things. And what I learned is the parents, they want their kids involved. Parents are tired of their kids sitting in front of screens, attending school, attending meetings. They don't want another virtual PAC meeting. They want their kids to get involved and be out and run around. Even if they have to stay distant, can they run around and do something? And it really told me, okay, going forward, we've really got to rethink, how do we approach this? How do we do our PAC meetings? They have to be outside because there's no facility big enough aside from a school gym that will let us in. And there's been no guidance from our school district. Their return to school plans are literally only thinking about bringing kids back into the classroom. There's no chance that we're going to get a chance to do a PAC meeting in a school that I've seen any guidance on. And if I'm going to make a prediction, I don't think that's going to happen at all for the rest of the school year. So everything we do is going to have to be outside or in some other facility. What that looks like, no idea yet. Even our Pinewood Derby, and we're starting to rethink some of those. The next one we're thinking about is really our October one. That's our Bear Games. And we've even had parents saying, look, because Bear Games is all about, I mean, they have an activity and they move from station to station. And so okay. And even parents have said, we'd love to see it done outside, rain or shine, we don't care. We're Pacific Northwest. Kids will wear a rain jacket and rubber boots if it's raining, and they'll run around between activities. So we've got to think through, how do we do this? Normally, Bear Scouts are running these activities. Can we still make that possible and maintain hygiene, cleanliness, appropriate social distancing? It's going to take a lot more thinking of this to go forward. But the idea of, 5 activity stations, a centralized tent, being able to have Scouts remain in smaller groups, hand sanitizers, cleaning supplies so they can re-clean activities. These are new elements that we have to come to really kind of start planning for. And look, is it going to be perfect? Well, one thing, it's got to be sanitary. It's got to be clean. Is it going to be 100% perfect? I don't know yet, but we'll get there. So that's kind of, look, those are my slides. I want to allow time for Q&A. I don't know how much time we've got left, but I wanted to allow time for Q&A. I've also got a couple of questions here. Dave Bader, you asked the question, are you even in this call, or is that the other group? I don't know. Oh, there you are. Sorry, David. You asked how big's our pack. We, at our biggest, we were about 50, 55 Scouts. We're now somewhere between 30 and 40. And based on what we think we're going to get for recharter. I bought 21 hats, scarves, and slide combinations for the moving up ceremony based on what we knew of Scouts that were most likely returning. We've, like I said, COVID has really hit us hard and impacting. The rule of thumb that I always go for is our pack is associated closely with Falls City Elementary School. And has been, Pack 425 has been in the area for over, I want to say 70 years. And the rule of thumb that we've understood is, if you've got a pack that's about 10% of the student body, that's roughly what we see. Falls City Elementary's got 600 students. So we are much lower. We were at a point where we were right on what we were expecting. And again, COVID's hit us really, really hard.
Yeah, I'm in Pack 682, and we were close to 100 last year. We're at 65 right now.
That's good.
And we'll probably be somewhere in that 40 to 50 range. Mm-hmm. Maybe once we go through recharter and everybody pays their dues and such.
Yep. Other questions, I'd love not just questions, but reactions, thoughts, suggestions. I'd love to use this also. Is I'm not above asking for help. Any ideas that others that you've got, like David, what are your thoughts? Have you thought of how have you approached your pack meetings? Have you guys held one so far this year? And I'm not going to pick on you only. I'm going to ask other people too.
No, don't pick on me. That's fine. We know each other. Yep. And yeah, we actually did a very similar going through the whole drive up, going through awards and crossover and all of that fun stuff. And we ended up doing something very similar. I live on a cul-de-sac, a really, really long cul-de-sac. And essentially we kind of did the same thing. We timed everybody by den and said, all right, if you're in, and we started with the Lions first and worked our way through Webelos. And everybody got 40 minutes. So you came in, we gave everybody their awards. People were able to talk and socialize. We had games off to the side that the kids could run around and do stuff. And then after about 40 minutes, great, we ushered people out. And then we just did the same thing and did that 5 or 6 different times throughout the day. And that worked awesome. Everybody's in masks. Everybody stayed where they needed to be. And then we just did another pack event where we thought that was so successful. Our very first PAC event, we just did something very similar. And I set up stations essentially up and down the street, such as some of the older scouts trying to teach how to light a cotton ball with flint and steel. That was one station. Then we had knot tying for another one. And when we gave you the ropes for the knots, great, that was yours. You kept it and you didn't have to give it back or anything. With the flint and steel, very easy to spray down, very easy to clean, and then be able to move from station to station. Then we started getting up into the Webelos and such with Stronger, Faster, Higher. We had an obstacle course. They loved doing the 20-yard dash and trying to see who was the fastest. And I just came up with, I just went through all the requirements and thought, okay, what can I do that's going to socially distance everybody? And the kids are having fun. The parents can actually socialize a little bit too, and people have a blast.
Cool. How about others?
Share what we did for 638. We had a drive up advancement ceremony at a park once the parks opened back up, really similar to what you and David both did. We offered a 90-minute window of time. Our pack's pretty small. We had 19 scouts pre-COVID. We lost 2 and we gained 1, so we're about the same size. So we just offered a 90-minute window of time for scouts to drive up, and we had their advancements, their new neckerchief and slide, and the bridge there that they could take pictures with their family, with our pack flag and the United States flag set up. And then for pack activities since then, we were doing Zoom meetings every other week and just playing kind of silly games and stuff to keep the kids engaged. And that was kind of tough, but we had fairly good engagement. And then we started doing some in-person socially distanced meetings. We did kind of a fishing day at a trout farm over by Valley Hospital that we had pretty good turnout for, where they actually opened up on a day that they're usually not open. And so we were the only ones there.
Nice.
Which was pretty fun. And then we did a hike a couple weekends ago, and we kind of combined that with some knot tying for our AOL scouts and leave no trace and outdoor code for our younger ones and stuff. And we just asked everyone, health screenings, wear masks, socially distance, stay with your family. Your buddy is your parent or your caregiver, whoever you're with. And it worked out really well. We had almost all of our scouts show up. And then we've been doing some stuff at the den level because most of our dens are 5 scouts or less. So it's pretty easy to meet with that small group. Like we did rolling tigers at the high school track. Because on bicycles, it's pretty easy to make sure that the kids stay socially distanced also.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do a scavenger hunt in a park here in a couple of weeks around the scout law and tie that into Bobcat for the tigers and the new scouts. That'll be the same thing, like drop by with your family whenever you want during the day, follow these clues, find the different painted rocks around the park and the trail, and then get your way to a prize box at the end. And if non-scouts find it, that's fine, because we are putting a QR code to join the pack on it. So if they grab the little paper airplane or whatever foam airplane that we put at the end, then so be it. That's about what we've done.
Geocaching, it could be a good one too.
Yeah, we're gonna try that this spring.
Okay.
I have a question. So how has the parent engagement been for your respective units? Like, have they been reaching out to say, how can I help? Or is it really coming, like, you guys feel like you're on your core people you go to, and those are the people you can still rely on, maybe some less, and then you got yourself? I'm seeing head shaking that it's really you and yourself.
So I'm happy to start and share that, but I do want to let see what others think. The approach I have taken is, and setting the scene, my committee chair crosses over, or has already switched out, but he crosses over. He's the committee chair now for the troop, but his youngest son finishes. He's the den leader right now for his youngest son and mine, and they finish in February. So he'll be done with Weeblos 2. I will be done as Cub Master. My treasurer already crossed over. My awards chair crosses over in February. So we were going to have a big flip. So about 6 months ago, really at the start of last year, one of the things I started doing is communicating to everybody what's happening. So I was very open. I said, let me paint a picture for everybody. I've been involved with the PAC for blah, blah, blah years. I've been doing this role for 4 years. In February of 2021, I'm done. I'm out. And so we are looking for people to step up. And so painting that picture, because parents weren't necessarily jumping up and down saying, hey, how can I help? And that was something that we were generally worried about. We got into the conversation. We started looking at how can we, but I just would continue that message. And then I started asking people. I mean, no one was volunteering. And what I've learned is people aren't necessarily going to volunteer unasked.
And that's a common thing, sorry to interrupt you, but that's a common thing holistically, but it feels amplified right now with COVID, I would assume.
Very much so. Okay. I got lucky at this PAC meeting. I had one of the parents come up to me to pay her dues for her son. She just happens to work in finance, and she kind of made the comment, hey, let me know if I can help. And I said, would you want to be our treasurer? And she just looked at me like, well, yeah, I can. But it just, I walked away and went, oh, wow, they said yes.
So guys, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to interject here if that's all right. First of all, Sean, that was an amazing presentation. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
We will get back to this discussion for the remainder of the time, but Wendy and I did put together a small presentation for the second half of the evening that will be up on the website. Just to kind of click through it real quick, there's about a 10-minute movie on making new members feel welcome. We have some of Wendy's famous tips and tricks, onboard families year round. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything like really important. Oh, and we will be, that's more ideas, and safety spotlight. So every month, Roundtable will be introducing a safety spotlight. This one's on digital safety and online scouting activities. And aside from the key points I have in here, the link is, if you can see my cursor right here. So that's that. And then I just want to invite you all back November 12th. And then I turn the time back over to Sean, who once again, I thank you for a wonderful presentation and sharing all your knowledge with all these wonderful leaders.
You're welcome. And sorry, Ken, I think that was your very polite way of saying I'm running over time.
No, we have until the chat room disappears. So, and as you said, it's very much about, sharing ideas and getting to know leaders within the district. So please take the extra, 3-4 minutes.
I think out of politeness, we can run until 8:30 for everyone's time.
Roundtable has always been designed, or should be designed to meet the needs of the participants. And clearly you guys are really interested in that. And so we should dive deep into it as much as you need.
We certainly can. What's the scheduled start finish time? I know it was 7. What were we scheduled to finish at?
Usually the schedule goes till 8:30, but that's honestly we're in different times. Let's honor everyone. If people want to drop off, they're more than welcome. But
yep.
As Wendy said, let's encourage the conversation for those that want to continue.
100%, and definitely want to encourage the conversation, but I also do want to be respectful of time for everybody. I did, going back, Eric, to your comment, anybody else want to share what they've seen in terms of getting parents to volunteer?
I will say we have Ryan on here, and he's our new treasurer, and he has been very helpful. We really appreciate it. We were struggling to find a treasurer after our other one crossed over. So other than that, it's kind of the same old people for us that we know who we can count on.
Ryan, can we put you on the spot for a second?
Absolutely.
What got you over the edge?
Cole asked me.
Okay.
I was very unlikely to have just popped up and volunteered. I've never been a treasurer before. I've never been involved in the Scouts before. I wasn't even a Scout when I was a kid. But so one of the leaders came up and asked me if I could help and asked me to be a treasurer, and I said okay.
No, it's good. I'm glad that you felt willing to do it. So.
Any others?
Yeah, I'm in the opposite boat. We found somebody who said yes to be the treasurer, but then they became MIA, and now we're having to do the search again.
That's a challenge.
So what I do hear in common is for most of us, we're doing things because someone asked us. Somebody that we respect or care about or know in some capacity. And I think that's an interesting correlation you've all made.
Absolutely right, Kat. Something I was going to say similar things. I mean, I became Cub Master because I was asked to. I was hoping others would do it. I was happy being the den leader. And I asked our treasurer, our new Cub Master and assistant Cub Master, I sat him down over a Zoom meeting and just said, let me paint a picture for you guys. And I think you're perfect material to do this. And you're right. Everybody else here who has been involved, and Ryan yourself, you were asked, you said, sure. I think sometimes that's what it takes. Pick somebody and just say, look, I don't know where you're at. I'm not looking for a CFO. If you want a treasurer, I just want somebody who is honest, can be a co-signatory on the account to help me keep the books. And it's, in some cases, it's a little bit of, I would say, demystifying the positions for people. They think, oh, I'm taking on, you want me to be what? It's like, no, let me tell you what this actually means. And no, it's not 1 hour a month. It's more than that. But it does, and it requires some work, but here's what it is. But I think the lesson is got to make the ask.
And Quentin, if you don't mind sharing a little bit, has your unit been meeting at all?
No, I mean, I'm with Laura. Laura and Ryan and I are on the same pack.
I'm sorry. So then you have been meeting. Excellent. I know Laura is a wonderful Cub Master or Deadmint leader. David, you have a pretty good sized pack. Is there anything that you can think of to highlight that kind of goes with Sean's comments?
It's a lot of echoing of the same thing. You don't put what is the saying? You're going to fail at anything that you don't try. So go ask as many people as you can. The thing is, don't do it in a group. Don't stand up in the front of 100 parents and say, hey, I need a treasurer, and expect somebody to come bolting to the front of the stage to say, I'll do it. It's going to be a personal approach. Pick your targets and do it in a personal way that they don't feel pressure and such. And like Sean said, demystify what the position actually is. Because I mean, I was asked to step step up to be Cub Master literally on new parents night. And like, yeah, what the heck? Yeah, I used to be a scout and I love this and etc. So it wasn't too easy to twist my arm, but others, they may not, they have to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit before they may have to jump in head first. So,
Well, and that's a good point, David. During this time, you may want to be providing resources to leaders like you would in person, right? So maybe you need to schedule a 30-minute thing on how to hold a Zoom meeting, and that just becomes kind of in place of your in-person leader training. And so I think those little things are fantastic. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh no, that's perfectly fine. That's about it.
Well, thanks everybody. Or I should say, thanks for letting me share just what our pack has been working through and some of the struggles that we've had. Thanks also for sharing your thoughts on what it's been like for each of you as well. I think it's, for me, sometimes these meetings are valuable just to know that, hey, you're not alone. And one thing I didn't put it in the presentation, but I'll put it in the chat. If anybody wants to reach out and ask me any questions or a follow-up, I'll put my email address out there. Please feel free to do so.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sean. It was a good presentation, and Kat and Wendy as well. Thank you for sharing that information. It was good.
And Sean, can you please send me your presentation so I can get that on the website?
Just did.
Oh, it already, okay, never mind.
Sean just emailed to me and I forwarded it on.
Yeah, Kat,
Ignore
I lost
me.
your email address, so I've given it to Chris. He's sending it to you.
I just hit send, so we're good.
Awesome, cool. Thank you, guys. As Wendy said, that was a great presentation. A lot of good feedback and everything from everyone. We can leave this open for probably about 5-10 more minutes, it looks like. And we can just kind of ask random questions, chit chat. But as Sean had mentioned earlier, if you do need to go, please don't feel like you're being rude if you leave at this point. Oh, and David, please send me the title of that book that you're reading because it sounds really good.
Okay. I guess my question, Chris, will come what we're chatting about. So
Yeah, did I explain that well? I was having a few chat boxes open at the same time, and
well, I mean, I looked at my shirt and went, okay, 2018, that was the last patch that I got. So I was thinking, all right, so this is going to be based on 2019. But then it's like, it's like, okay, you base it on 2020, but we just started 2020 literally about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. So a lot of these items, if you're basing yourself on for 2020, you don't know yet. You won't know until this time next year.
So the journey to excellence goes by calendar year. Is instead of it. So 2020 officially started January according to Journey to Excellence.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the 2020-2021 season.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah. So think of it as this last session that we're still, but what you're doing this fall still counts towards that. I know it's a bit odd. And it gets weirder on the council and district levels because we actually have some, although ours is by calendar year, there are a few items in there that aren't by calendar year that are by season, which makes it a little more wonky.
Okay.
So
I'll have to change some of my answers.
yeah, and I'm guessing you got sent the newer one because I know there were some changes made this year to it to make it because of COVID and restrictions. So
Scouts BSA had a lot of changes because of the outdoor requirements that go against it, and that one had like basically slashed through tons of things and caveats, and I think PAX probably lucked out a little bit on that one.
yeah. Quentin, did I answer your question sufficiently about the online payments?
Yeah, that helped. We have to go back and circle back about how we're handling dues, because we were essentially crediting those scouts, right? They would pay us the dues, then we would pay both the remainder fee, the new pack joining fee, as well as next year's fee. But if they're already paying that out of pocket before they come to us, we have to figure out kind of how we want to handle that.
Right, and that's only if they join online. Just for the last few months, if they join online and pay online, and if you join online, you have to pay online now. There's no other option.
Yeah, but who's not doing that, right? Everyone's joining online.
There are a few. Actually, PAC 225, they worked out a. They have their chartered org rep is great person, but not so great on approving things online. So they've developed a pretty good system for making sure everyone goes through paper applications.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Chris, is that new this year that that new members pay instead of through the escrow account?
So you can still pay through the escrow account if you're doing an offline application or through Recharter. Recharter goes through your escrow account. But if someone applies online to join, they would pay online, and that does not touch your escrow account. That money goes directly to National.
Plus the $12 council fee goes.
And then National kicks back $12 to the council.
Okay.
So, and that appears to be working fine. I would say only new members should be using the online application. If someone is maybe they joined and then they stopped and then they came back, I would be very hesitant to have them join online because it might not understand that they aren't a new scout and don't have to pay that $25 joining fee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And also there aren't as many employees helping out with questions at the national office as there used to be. So I'd say it'd be very difficult to get money back from the national office right now.
Good to know.
Well, I'm going to end the recording. If you guys feel free to keep talking for the last 4 minutes or so, but I think we've covered off everything from the recording standpoint. So thanks again,
Thank
Sean
you,
and
Eric.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.